As the Alabama football news and rumors train rolls on, if you like what we're doing here at the Alabama Football Report, then help us out. Share today's video. We're keeping you covered on all the latest news, rumors, and more around the Crimson Tide. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button right now. We begin with the latest on Caleb Downs, the five-star second-year safety who was the first Bama freshman to lead the team in tackles. He had an incredible season. And I think some of it is in part of the hopes and dreams of other teams trying to pull away who's going to be a future first-round pick at safety. The rumors of could he enter the portal? Is he going to leave? Is he not going to leave? Downs did attend, per On3, the Alabama team meeting yesterday, which I view as a positive. And I think maybe to a certain extent we're waiting to see Downs to know what's going to go on in his DB coach room. This has to be Kalen DeBoer's number one priority. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's a time of immense change at Alabama. The coaching staff looks different. The roster's changing every day. But this is somebody you have to keep in your building. I trust DeBoer on offense. This defense is going to look different, though. And I think you might be able to argue, entering his sophomore year, Caleb Downs is the best player on this entire football team. Downs stays. Don't you feel better about everything on defense? Could be a trendsetter for others and be the emotional leader, despite being very young, in that locker room. He's a very mature kid. And I'll say this. You saw other players immediately go in the portal and immediately pick a new team. Within like 24 hours. It took Bama longer to find the new head coach. It took for some guys to leave. It was kind of insane. I don't think that many kids his age would take their time because you know this part too. Whether it's not yet being communicated or behind the scenes, whatever, you know the NIL deal is going to be massive. Like, you know the bag he could potentially get is highly significant. And I will never fault a player for transferring because this is just the first step of your career, especially when you're this level of player. It is all about setting yourself up for NFL success. I am never going to fault a kid for that. With that said, I really want to keep Caleb Downs at Alabama. So how nervous are you about Downs potentially transferring? Be honest with me in the comment section. 1 to 10 is your scale. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. Now, we are starting to see this defensive coordinator and defensive coaching staff take shape, as producer Chris did in a short late last night. Now soon-to-be former, South Alabama head coach Kane Wommack is going to be the new defensive coordinator. Not formally announced yet by Alabama. Not sure it's been formally signed, although I will make note that Wommack has already resigned from South Alabama. It is worth mentioning that he coached with Kalen DeBoer at Indiana. He was the defensive coordinator and then leaves to go to South Alabama. A recent-ish trend of G5 coaches leaving to take Power 5 coordinator jobs. Wommack reunites with his buddy, Kalen DeBoer. It's not Coach T-Rob, I know. When we had done our defensive coordinator list, I didn't even think to look at other head coaches. I didn't even think about it. I think whenever you can pull away a sitting head coach at the college football ranks in the FBS to come be a coordinator for you, I see it as an absolute win. Like, those are guys that were so good as coordinators, they got to become head coaches. And he just got to be a coordinator again. It's impressive. Former Bama offensive lineman Alphonse Taylor said this last night before it was fully official. Would be a huge pickup. It's a great guy, knows how to connect with kids in Mobile and surrounding areas. Great recruiter, regardless of area. Used to sit in on his recruiting breakfast while I was at South Alabama. I used to think to myself, I wouldn't mind playing for him. Wommack has done some SEC coaching experience too. Very brief, to be fair. After his playing days were over, was actually the UT Martin quarterback coach. And I do think there is value. It's kind of like there's value in, playing the both sides of the ball, like playing basketball and football, not specializing too much. I think being a coach kind of falls into a similar category there. Jacksonville State D-line coach for a year, goes to Ole Miss for 2 years, Eastern Illinois DC. Again, as I said before, there's a lot of moving when you're a young coach. It's not easy on the family. South Alabama defensive coordinator, goes to Indiana to be a linebackers coach, then the DC for 2 years under now fired Tom Allen, then was the South Alabama head coach. He was getting them to bowl games. They were winning bowl games. I think that's valuable. So we'll keep an eye on Womack and his future and what else he does in that defensive coaching staff. But I know it's never going to be Saban, but I don't mind this hire at all either. Now let's talk recruiting and more portal stuff here. Ryan Williams showed up in Tuscaloosa on Monday for a surprise unofficial visit before his official one. I think that is a positive development. Cares enough to come stop by and visit Alabama. And I do think, I totally get all these kids decommitting, treat it as a reset process. I think if you're an offensive guy, if you're a wide receiver, the hire should excite you. Remember, the OC is Ryan Grubb, who Saban wanted initially before he retired last year. They ended up hiring Tommy Rees. So I would not rule out Ryan Williams as a real candidate to join Alabama. Where do you think he will end up signing later this month? Next month. A for Alabama, O for other. Go ahead and get those predictions in for me in the comment section right now. More transfer portal developments here. Alabama corner Trey Amos is going to enter the transfer portal. And this has been a roller coaster ride for me of how I feel about this cornerback room. It is, I'm worried. It's good. I'm worried. You're now up to 7 different lost defensive backs through graduation, portal, and more. You've added guys, you've lost guys, but there is a lot going on here. And it's kind of a very chaotic situation here. So Trey Amos is hopping in the portal. Yeah, that's a very noteworthy. Amos was primed to take over as a starter for this team. He transfers in from Louisiana, was kind of a rotation back, top backup, etc. But he was primed to play a key role for this program. Now he opts in the portal because there's been a lot of changes for this defensive back team. There's been a lot of them. Coach T-Rob's out. Trey Amos hops in the portal. Des Ricks hops in the portal. Antonio Kite hops in the portal. Earl Little Jr. into the portal. He's going to FSU. Christian Torres going to Kentucky. Arnold McKinstry off to the NFL. Thank God Malachi Moore stayed, because this depth chart keeps fluctuating, right? You still have Damani Jackson and no developments of him changing his mind, whatever. Devonta Smith, Caleb Downs. If those two guys are back, if they're going to the room, but you're going to start Jalen Mbakwe, or do you go find some more help in the portal? And I think that might be a path here for Alabama. Look, Jabbar Muhammad's in the portal, the Washington corner last year. Early buzz is not going to necessarily be a likely landing spot for Bama. Other teams have been more heavily linked. Asa Turner's a safety, but didn't play a lot last year. But now you're losing Amos. You should maybe revisit Muhammad. He played for your last head coach. Seems noteworthy. So do you want Jabbar Muhammad to transfer to Alabama? Y for yes, N for no. Go ahead and sound off for me in the comment section right now. Another noteworthy player I think you should strongly consider is Parker Brailsford. Obviously, we have no idea what the plan is to take over in terms of the center spot with Seth McLaughlin now off to Ohio State. Brailsford played most of his snaps this past year at center, which seems rather significant because you need one. And the numbers were pretty solid, part of a very good overall Huskies, the best ranked offensive line in college football. They won the Joe Moore Award. That's what it's called. Pretty sure it is. 1 sack, 2 hits, 11 hurries. Great run blocking grades there. This really stands out to me of, hey, and you know what this part too? Centers often do a big job of, helping set things pre-snap and helping out the offensive line, especially for a new offense. Having your center who knows this offense, I think would go a massive, massive way. Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link's going to be in the comment section and the description of today's show. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. No more college football. There is college basketball Prize Picks you guys can do here. Shout out producer Chris for his picks. I'll have you do some basketball shorts down the stretch here. We'll see. Mark Sears, more than 28 points, rebounds, and assists. Aaron Estrada, more than 13.5 points, And Ryan Griffin, more than 18 points, rebounds, and assists. we'll see how these go. That is for the game coming up tonight against Missouri, by the way. PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for that first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. It's again, PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Again, it's a loaded show. Some more coaching updates here. Off-field staff is pretty much all being retained. David Ballou is going to stay as sports performance. Jeff Allen for sports medicine. Ellis Ponders to the COO. Josh Chapman, who, I remember that fight. That happened earlier this year. He's back along with Denzel Duvall as 2 player development guys. And Ashley Kimball is still the director of recruiting. Blue and Allen in particular are very key players. Bama's much healthier than a lot of programs you see there. And I think if it was good enough for Nick Saban, and those guys don't want to leave, like I think some of your coaches did in the end, keep those guys. It's very important to keep your off-field support staff, and I think you see it time and time again. Bama does a fantastic job in that area. All right, over to the college football recruiting situation here. A couple more 2025 decommits as this class is getting kind of decimated early on a lot of times. We're still a full calendar year away from a lot of these guys enrolling. Mason Short, the 4-star interior offensive lineman. Javion Hilson flips to FSU as the Seminoles continue to be the sloppy second program for Alabama. Spot the lie. They do it all the time, which, you know what? It's not a bad strategy. It's not. You know what? Can't be number 1, be number 2. I don't hate it. Short is a 4-star recruit, number 160 overall, number 8 interior offensive lineman from the state of Georgia. 8 interior line overall, 23rd from the state of Georgia. Hilson, meanwhile, is a top 50 recruit, edge out of Florida, so a fairly noteworthy flip there for FSU. I will say there is a reason we're putting this at the back end of today's video. If we're being honest here, the class of 2025 just can't be a huge priority for you. You have too much going on. You're trying to fill out your current roster and build your coaching staff. You can revisit those guys later. You'll have your chances to make your pitches. And you don't turn this into he can't recruit. He's not going to be as good of a recruiter as Nick Saban. We have to make sure our expectations are aligned properly here. It's been 4 days. Feels like it's been longer. But it has not been a very long time period here for Kalen DeBoer in Alabama. I don't even know that he's spoken to those guys, really. But the coaching staff isn't finalized yet. There's so many more immediate, impactful things you've got to find a way to focus on that you really can't focus on that at this stage. That will come, and we'll have videos on it for you as well. And you'll probably land some commits here because I'm sure there's a Bama or there's a recruit that's like, I just want to follow Kalen DeBoer no matter, he'll probably flip. That's how it tends to go. Those things will come, and we will have you covered with all the chaos going on around the Crimson Tide right now. Hit that sub button for more free Alabama football YouTube videos.